The cargo hauler Morning Star docked at Meridian 7 with a hiss of equalizing pressure, checked his manifest one last time before opening the airlock. 3 tons of medical supplies, 2 crates of entertainment modules, and one very expensive piece of mining equipment. Standard run, standard pay. He liked it that way. The trading station sprawled before him like a metal city floating in space. Hundreds of species came here to buy, sell, and trade. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4. Some had scales, some had fur, and some had things that looked like neither. Had learned to smile at all of them. It made business easier. He wheeled his first crate down the loading ramp. The station's artificial gravity felt heavier than his ship, but he had gotten used to it. Around him, aliens shouted in dozens of languages. The translator implant in his ear did its best to keep up. "Human, you bring the painkillers." A merchant scuttled toward him on 6 legs. Her voice came out like clicking stones. "Got them right here," said, patting the crate. "Fresh from the colony at new, best quality." The antennae twitched happily. They completed the transaction quickly. Had been coming to Meridian 7 for 2 years now. People knew him. They knew he delivered what he promised. As he moved deeper into the market sector, noticed the crowd parting. People stepped aside quickly, their eyes down. He knew what that meant before he saw her. Walked through the market like a knife cutting cloth. She was one of the security officers who kept order on the station. Her scales were pale blue, almost white, and they caught the artificial light in ways that made her look carved from ice. She stood a head taller than, and her eyes were the color of frozen water. Those eyes missed nothing. They were feared everywhere in the galaxy. They felt no emotion. They showed no mercy. They did their jobs with cold perfection. Most species gave them a wide path. Nodded politely as she passed. She glanced at him for exactly 1 second, then continued her patrol. Her movements were smooth and precise. Everything about her screamed predator. He went back to his deliveries. The mining equipment went to an engineer. The entertainment modules went to the station's recreation district. By the time he finished, his stomach was growling. He found a food vendor and bought 2 ration packs. The food wasn't great, but it was hot and it filled you up. A commotion erupted 3 stalls down. Looked up from his meal. 2 merchants were shouting at each other. One was human, the other was. They had all 4 arms spread wide in an aggressive display. His skin had turned dark red with anger. "You cheat me," they roared. "These power cells are old, worthless." "I told you they were refurbished," the human merchant shot back. His name was Sung and had met him a few times. "You knew what you were buying." "Liar." This hand moved toward his belt, toward a weapon. The crowd scattered, stood up slowly. He saw moving in from the other side, her hand already on her shock rod. Her face showed nothing. No concern, no anger, just cold readiness. Knew what would happen next. Security didn't negotiate. They neutralized threats, fast, permanent. He stepped between the 2 merchants. "Hey," he said calmly, holding up both hands. "Let's all take a breath here." "Move, human," said from behind him. Her voice was like winter wind. "This is security business." "Just give me 1 minute," said, not looking at her. He focused on the, "Sir, I know Sung. He's honest. If he said the cells were refurbished, they were. But maybe there was a misunderstanding about the quality." Those 4 eyes fixed on him. "Why you defend him? You humans stick together." "I defend fair dealing," said. "I've bought from Sung. His stuff works. But I've also seen refurbished equipment fail. Maybe we can look at the cells together. If they're worse than advertised, I'll witness it. Sung will have to make it right." Sung looked relieved. "Yes, let me test them right now. I'll prove they work." They hesitated. His skin started shifting back to normal color. "You witness." "I witness," promised. The tension broke. They lowered his arms. They moved to Sung's stall to test the power cells. It turned out 2 of the 20 were dead. Sung replaced them without argument, the left satisfied. Turned around. stood exactly where she had been, watching him. Her shock rod was back on her belt, but her eyes were locked on his face. "That was foolish," she said. "It worked," replied with a shrug. "They could have attacked you, I would have had to kill him. Messy. But I saved you the paperwork," said, trying a smile. His expression didn't change. "Humor. You humans use it incorrectly." She started to turn away, noticed something then. The way her movements were slightly slower than usual, the faint tremor in her hands. He had studied xenobiology during his freight training. He recognized the signs. "When did you last eat?" he asked. Stopped, she looked back at him. "That is not your concern." 3 days, guessed. 4. Can function for 8 days without food. I am well within operational parameters. Functioning isn't the same as being okay, said. He picked up his second ration pack from where he'd left it. He held it out to her. "Here." Stared at the food, then at him, then back at the food. "Why?" "Because you're hungry." "I did not ask." "I know. I do not need charity." "It's not charity, it's just food. I bought too much anyway." That was a lie, but a harmless one. His frozen eyes studied his face. She was looking for something, mockery maybe, or hidden agenda. Just stood there holding out the ration pack, his expression open and honest. "My kind doesn't do love," said suddenly. Her voice was flat, stating a fact. "We don't do friendship, we don't do kindness. These things make us weak. They cloud judgment. They lead to mistakes." "I'm not asking for love or friendship," said. "I'm just offering food." "There is always a price." "The price is nothing, just eat." They stood there for a long moment. Around them the market continued its noisy business. Aliens bought and sold and argued. Ships came and went. The station lived its life. Finally reached out and took the ration pack. Her scaled fingers brushed his hand. They were cold. "I do not understand you," she said. "You don't have to," replied. "Just enjoy the meal." He walked away then, back toward his ship. He needed to load up for the return journey. Behind him, he heard the seal on the ration pack break open. Stood in the middle of the market, holding human food in her hands. She looked down at it like it was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Around her, other species hurried past, avoiding the dangerous security officer. She took a small bite. The food was warm. It tasted like nothing she had ever eaten before. She took another bite. And somewhere deep inside her cold chest, something very small stirred. Something that had no name in the language. Something that shouldn't exist at all. She looked toward where the human had disappeared into the crowd. That was his name. She had seen it on his cargo manifest. She told herself she would forget him. She told herself this changed nothing. She told herself many things. None of them felt true. 5 weeks passed. Returned to Meridian 7 3 more times. He didn't think much about the security officer. He had other things to worry about. Cargo schedules, equipment maintenance, the usual problems of a freight hauler's life. But thought about him. She told herself it was part of her security duties. Humans were unpredictable. They acted on emotion rather than logic. They needed watching. That was all. She found herself near the docking bay when his ship arrived. Just routine patrol. She watched him unload his cargo, watched him laugh with the vendors, watched him help a young merchant carry heavy crates when the merchant's loading drone broke down. Inefficient, he lost 20 minutes of his schedule. He gained nothing. Yet he smiled the whole time. On his 4th visit, observed something that disturbed her calculations even more. A family of sat in the station's common area. They looked lost. The father held a data pad, turning it over in his large hands like he didn't understand it. The mother had 3 small children clustered around her legs. They all looked tired and scared. Most people walked past them, were new to space travel. They came from a world that had just achieved basic ship technology. They had nothing to trade, nothing to offer. They were nobody. Stopped. "You folks okay?" he asked. The father looked up. His translator was cheap and old. His words came out garbled, but his tone was clear enough. The father tried to explain. His ship had broken down. They were stranded. They had no money for repairs. Watch from her patrol position. She saw pull out his data pad, saw him make several calls, saw him talk to a mechanic he knew. 2 hours later, the family's ship was being repaired. Had arranged for a repair crew and paid half the cost himself. The mechanic agreed to let the family work off the rest by helping in the shop. "You just saved them," the mechanic told. "They would have been stranded here for months." Shrugged, couldn't just leave them there. Didn't understand. They were not his family, not his species, not his responsibility. He had gained nothing from helping them. He had actually lost money and time. Yet he did it anyway. That night accessed her species database. She searched for information about human behavior patterns. The data confirmed what she already knew. Humans acted on emotion. They helped others even when it hurt themselves. They called it compassion. They had no word for compassion. They had eliminated it from their genetics 10,000 years ago. It made them efficient, made them strong, made them survive when other species died out. So why did watching help that family make something hurt inside her chest? The next week was on patrol in the market sector when she saw again. A vendor's stall had collapsed, merchandise scattered everywhere. The vendor, an old female, was trying to pick everything up by herself. Was there in seconds. He helped gather up the scattered goods. Then he pulled tools from his ship and helped rebuild the stall properly. It took him 3 hours. "Thank you," the old said. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing," replied. "Just be more careful with the support beams next time." His hand tightened on her shock rod. This made no sense. None at all. She found herself following him after his shift ended. Not obviously. She was good at surveillance. She told herself it was still security work, observing potential unpredictable elements. She watched him share technical knowledge with a young human engineer who was struggling with a problem. Watched him buy food for a station worker who had lost her pay chit. Watched him stop to pet a nervous companion animal until it calmed down. Small things, meaningless things. Things that added up to something her training couldn't explain. On his 5th visit, everything changed. His cargo was sabotaged. He discovered it during a routine system check. Someone had tampered with his ship's fuel regulation system. If he had jumped to hyperspace, the pressure buildup would have caused an explosion. He would have died. The station security office assigned to investigate. Standard procedure. She examined the evidence, ran the security footage, identified 3 suspects. All of them were merchants who competed with regular customers. Standard procedure said she should file a report. Let the investigation follow proper channels. It could take weeks. Meanwhile, the suspects would hide or destroy evidence. Stood in the security office looking at the data. She should follow procedure. She always followed procedure. But she thought about the human helping the family, helping the old vendor, helping everyone he met. She thought about the ration pack he had given her for no reason at all. She made a decision that was not logical, that was not cold, that was not. She went to ship. He was there with his friend Wu, another human who worked as an engineer on the station. They were inspecting the damage. "I know who sabotaged your ship," said. Looked up surprised. Already that was fast. 3 merchants in the lower market. They see you as competition. They wanted to eliminate you. She pulled up the data on her pad, showed him the evidence. "Do not trust them. They will try again." "I'll file a complaint with station security," said. "I am station security." "Oh, right, so you'll arrest them." Hesitated. "The official investigation will take time. They will know they are suspects. They will hide evidence, but I am warning you now, directly, so you can be careful." Wu and exchanged looks. "You're doing this off the books?" Wu asked. I am providing information to a station resident who may be in danger, said. Her voice was flat, professional. This is within my duties. Thank you, said. He meant it. She could hear it in his voice. I do not require thanks. Why did you tell me directly? You could have just filed the report. Looked at him, really looked at him. His open face, his honest eyes, his complete lack of deception. You have been decent, she said. The word felt strange. It had no direct translation in. She had to borrow it from the human language files. Decent. You help others. You do not ask for payment. You do not seek advantage. This is unusual, inefficient, but, she paused, she should not say more, but decent. Smiled, that smile he gave everyone, warm and genuine. Well, you've been decent too, warning me like this. This is not the same. Why not? Had no answer. She left quickly before he could ask more questions. But that night, alone in her quarters, she could not stop thinking about his question. Why was it different when she helped him? She had broken protocol. She had acted outside standard procedure. She had done it because she did not want to die. That thought terrified her. Did not care who lived or died. That was weakness. That was emotion. That was the thing they had spent 10,000 years removing from their species. Accessed her personal files. She looked up the symptoms of emotional compromise in individuals. The list made her scales feel cold. Deviation from protocol, check. Interest in specific individuals, check. Irrational decision-making, check. Physical response to others, check. She was compromised. She was defective. If her superiors found out, they would recall her. They would send her back to for reconditioning. The process would strip away whatever was growing inside her. It would make her cold again, empty again, proper again. She stared at her reflection in the dark screen of her data pad. Her ice blue scales, her frozen eyes, her predator's face. I am, she whispered. I do not feel, I do not care, I do not. She stopped, because she was lying. And somewhere on this station, a human named was probably already asleep, not knowing that his simple kindness had broken something in a species that wasn't supposed to break. Sat in the dark and felt something wet on her face. She touched it, analyzed it. Water from her eyes. Did not cry, they had no tears. But apparently she did. And that changed everything. The alarm woke everyone on Meridian 7 at the same time. Sharp, loud, impossible to ignore. Rolled out of his bunk on the Morning Star and hit the comm panel. What's happening? The station's automated voice answered. Warning. Hostile ships detected. All civilian vessels begin evacuation procedures immediately. His door chimed. He opened it to find Wu standing there already dressed. Pirates, his friend said. Big fleet, at least 12 ships. 12 pulled on his boots. That's not a raid, that's an invasion. They ran to the docking bay. It was chaos. Hundreds of people pushing toward their ships, parents carrying children, merchants abandoning their goods, everyone running. Saw the station commander that looked exhausted and scared. All civilian ships evacuate immediately. Station defense forces will hold them as long as possible. Go now. The Morning Star could launch in 5 minutes, and Wu knew their procedures. They had practiced them 100 times. They started the pre-flight checks automatically. Then Wu stopped. The shield display is wrong. Looked, the station's defensive shields showed half power. They must be saving energy for weapons. No, Wu pulled up the technical readout. His face went pale. The main shield generator is failing. Look at these readings. It's not going to last 10 minutes. Felt his stomach drop. Without shields, every evacuation ship will be exposed. The pirates will pick them off one by one, like shooting fish. They looked at each other. Around them, other ships were already launching. Engines roared, docking clamps released, people were getting out. We should go, Wu said, but he didn't move. The generator is design, said slowly. You worked on similar systems at your old job. I'd need someone who knows the station's specific configuration, and tools, and at least an hour we don't have. But you could fix it. Wu looked at him, really looked at him. Are you seriously suggesting we stay here while pirates attack? I'm suggesting we can't leave hundreds of people to die when we might be able to help. That is the most stupidly human thing I've ever heard you say. Wu grabbed his toolkit. Let's go. They ran toward the engineering section. The corridors were nearly empty now. Most people had already evacuated. Warning lights flashed red. The automated voice kept counting down. Hostile ships will be in firing range in 23 minutes. They found the shield generator room locked, tried his access code. It's restricted to security personnel only. Can you override it? Not without triggering alarms. A cold voice spoke behind them. I can. They turned, stood there in full security armor. Her shock rod was on her belt. Her frozen eyes looked at them both. You should be on an evacuation ship, she said. The shield generator is failing, Wu said. We can fix it. Negative, you are civilians. You must evacuate. People will die if those shields fail, said. Many people will die today. His voice was flat, professional. That is the nature of combat. Your deaths will not change the outcome. Evacuate. We're not leaving. That is not your choice. Actually, it is, said. We're humans. We get to make stupid choices. It's kind of our thing. For just a second, something flashed across his face, too fast to read. Then it was gone. I have been ordered to evacuate with other security personnel, she said. Emotion is a liability in combat situations. Security must depart. Then go, said. We'll do what we can without you. Stood very still, too still, like a statue carved from ice. The transport leaves in 4 minutes, she said. Then you better hurry. She looked at him, then at Wu, then at the locked door to the generator room. Saw something in her eyes, something that shouldn't be there, something that looked almost like pain. Go, he said gently. We understand you have to follow orders. My orders are clear, said. I am compromised. I must evacuate. I must leave. She reached for the door panel. Her hand moved on its own. The lock clicked open. I must. She stopped. I am staying, she said. What? The shield generator uses security protocols. You need someone who knows them. I know them. I am staying. Her voice was still flat, but there was something underneath it now, something shaking. You'll miss your transport, Wu said. Yes. You'll be disobeying direct orders, said. Yes. Why? Looked directly at him. Because you stayed. Because you are trying to save people you do not know. People who are not your family, not your species, not your responsibility. You are staying because it is the right thing to do. She paused. I do not know when I learned what right means, but I know what it is now, and I will not leave you to die. The lights flickered, the station shook. The pirates were getting closer. 18 minutes to weapons range, the automated voice said. They ran into the generator room. It was massive, filled with equipment that hummed and sparked. Wu pulled up the diagnostic display. The primary coupling is cracked, and the backup system is completely fried. Can we fix it? Asked. Maybe, if we reroute power through the secondary grid and bypass the damaged sections. Wu looked at. I need you to access the security lockouts. I can't touch anything without setting off safeties. Moved to the control panel. Her fingers flew across the interface. Lockouts disabled. You have full access. They worked together. Wu called out what he needed, ran to get tools and parts from storage, monitored the systems and disabled security protocols that would have stopped them. 12 minutes to weapons range. Sweat dripped down Wu's face. The coupling won't hold. We need to reinforce it. With what? Looked around. We don't have the right materials. Use this, pulled a plate from her own armor. Alloy, it will withstand the pressure. That's your armor. I do not need it right now. The shields need it more. Wu took the plate, welded it into place. The power reading stabilized slightly. 8 minutes to weapons range. It's not enough, Wu said. We're still only at 60% power. That won't stop a sustained attack. What else can we do? Asked. Studied the systems. We can overload the generator temporarily. It will give us full power for approximately 30 minutes. Then it will fail completely. 30 minutes might be enough, said. The station's defense ships will be here by then. If we overload it and fail, there will be no shields at all, said. Everyone dies. If we don't try, everyone dies anyway. She looked at him. You are absolutely certain. No, but we have to try. His hands moved across the controls, initiating overload sequence. 4 minutes to weapons range. The generator began to whine. The pitch rose higher and higher. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The whole room shook. Shields at 70%, reported. 80%, 90%. 2 minutes to weapons range. Full power achieved, said. Shields at maximum. They ran to a viewing port. In the distance, they could see the pirate fleet approaching. 12 dark ships bristling with weapons. Behind them, the last evacuation ships were jumping to hyperspace. 1 minute to weapons range. The pirates opened fire. The station's shields lit up like a star. Energy blasts hammered against them, again and again. The whole station shook with each impact. But the shields held. Grabbed his arm without thinking. She looked down at his hand, then at his face. He was smiling. We did it, he said. For now, she replied, but something in her voice was different, something almost like his smile. The generator screamed behind them. They had 30 minutes, maybe less. It would have to be enough. Because that's what humans did. They tried anyway, they hoped anyway, they fought anyway. And apparently, so did who spent too much time around humans. Looked at her hand where it touched her. The spot felt warm. Thank you, he said, for staying. I did not do it for thanks. I know, you did it because it was right. She nodded slowly. Yes, because it was right. Outside, the battle continued. But inside the generator room, something impossible had happened. A human and I had worked together to save lives. And in that moment, understood something her species had forgotten 10,000 years ago. Some things were worth breaking rules for. Some things were worth feeling for. Some things were worth everything. The medical bay smelled like antiseptic and burned metal. Lay on a bed with bandages wrapped around his chest and left arm. A piece of debris had hit him when the pirates made their final attack before retreating. The station's defense fleet had arrived just in time. Wu sat in a chair next to the bed. His arm was in a sling, but he was smiling. You're awake, good. I was getting tired of watching you sleep. How long? His voice came out rough. 18 hours. The doctor said you were lucky. A few centimeters to the left and that debris would have killed you. Tried to sit up. Pain shot through his chest. He gasped and lay back down. Don't be stupid, Wu said. You need rest. The station. Safe. The shields held long enough. We lost 3 defense ships but no civilian casualties. Well, except for the 2 idiots who stayed behind to fix the generator. And? Wu's smile faded. That's complicated. Before could ask more, the door opened. A human woman walked in. She wore the formal clothes of a diplomat. Her badge said her name was One. Mister, she said, I'm glad you're awake. We need to talk about your friend. His heart sank. What happened to her? One pulled up a chair. She disobeyed direct orders from her superiors. She missed the evacuation transport. She stayed behind to help you. The collective has been informed. She saved hundreds of lives. The collective doesn't care about that. They care that she showed emotional compromise, that she made decisions based on feelings rather than logic. They've recalled her. Recalled, what does that mean? One's face was grim. It means they're sending a ship to pick her up. They'll take her back to she'll undergo reconditioning. What's reconditioning? It's a process. They use it on who develop emotional capacity. It strips away the emotions, makes them cold again, empty again, properly. Felt sick, that's torture. That's their culture, one said softly. They eliminated emotions from their species 10,000 years ago. They see it as a defect, a weakness. When one of them starts showing feelings, they fix it. We have to stop them. We can't, she's a citizen. This is their law, we can't interfere. Wu leaned forward. Can she refuse to go? Technically, yes. But then she'd be in exile, she'd lose everything, her people, her culture, her entire identity. Tried to sit up again. This time he made it despite the pain. I need to see her. That's not a good idea. I don't care, I need to see her. One looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. She's in the security detention area, not as a prisoner. She's waiting there until the ship arrives. I can take you, but you need to understand something. What? The ship will be here in 6 hours. After that, there's nothing anyone can do. They took in a wheelchair. His legs worked, but the doctor wouldn't let him walk yet. One pushed him through the station's corridors. People stopped to stare. The story had spread. Everyone knew about the 3 people who stayed behind to save the station. The detention area was quiet. Empty cells lined both walls. At the end, in a room with a window, sat on a bench. She looked up when they approached. I would like to speak with her alone, said. One hesitated, then nodded. I'll be outside. She opened the door, wheeled himself in. The door closed behind him. Stood up, you should not be here. You are injured. I heard what happened. Yes, my recall was inevitable. I knew this would be the result. You knew, and you stayed anyway. Yes. Why? Was quiet for a long time. She walked to the window. Outside, stars shone in the black of space. I have been asking myself that question. The logical answer is that I had a momentary malfunction, a defect in my conditioning. It will be corrected. That's not the real answer. No, she turned to face him. The real answer is that I chose to stay. I chose to help you. I chose to feel something instead of nothing. And now they're going to take that away from you. They will make me what I should have always been. Cold, efficient, proper. His hands clenched on the wheelchair arms. You don't want that, I can see it. What I want is irrelevant. This is our way. It doesn't have to be. She looked at him. Her frozen eyes weren't so frozen anymore. What are you suggesting? The door opened before he could answer. One stepped in. I'm sorry, but there's something you both need to know, something I think you'll want to hear. She pulled up a holographic display. It showed a legal document. This is an asylum request form. The human government offers political asylum to individuals who face persecution in their home territories. Stared at the document. Asylum. If you request it, you can stay in human territory. The collective can't touch you here. You'd be free. Free to do what? I would be in exile, cut off from my people forever. Free to be who you want to be, said. Free to feel, free to choose. Looked at him, then at the document, then back at him. You are asking me to give up everything I have ever known. I'm asking you to save yourself. Why do you care? I am not your responsibility. No, but you're my friend. The word hung in the air between them. Friend, a concept that shouldn't exist for a weakness, a defect. A truth. His hands trembled. I do not know how to be your friend. I do not know how to be anything except what I was made to be. Then learn, we'll help you, I'll help you. Why? Because that's what humans do. We help people who need it, even when it's hard, even when it seems impossible, especially then. Tears formed in his eyes, real tears. She touched her face in wonder. I am crying again. I should not be able to cry. But you are, because you're becoming more than what you were made to be. One cleared her throat softly. The ship will be here in 5 hours. If you're going to request asylum, you need to do it now. Once they arrive, it's too late. Looked at the holographic form. Her hand reached out, pulled back, reached out again. I'm afraid, she whispered. I know, said. Being afraid is okay. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing anyway. The right thing. She repeated the words like a prayer. You keep saying that, as if right and wrong are absolute. They are not. They are cultural constructs. Maybe, but some things feel right even when they shouldn't. Some things matter even when logic says they don't. That's what being alive means. Really alive. Closed her eyes, took a breath, opened them again. She pressed her hand against the holographic form. I request asylum, she said. Her voice shook, but it was clear. I request asylum in human territory. One smiled. Request accepted. Welcome to humanity, or at least welcome to human protection. Looked at her hand, the one that had just ended her old life, started a new one. What do I do now? Now smiled. Now you figure out who you want to be, and we help you do it. Outside the window, a ship appeared. The transport. It docked at the station. 4 security officers disembarked. They went to the detention area. But was already gone. One had taken her to the human diplomatic quarters. She was under human protection now. Untouchable. The officers stood at the empty cell for a long time. Then they filed a formal protest and left. In the diplomatic quarters, sat on a chair that felt wrong, in a room that smelled wrong, surrounded by beings who thought wrong. Sat across from her, are you okay? I do not know. I have never not been okay before. I do not have experience with uncertainty. You'll learn. Will I? What if I cannot adapt? What if I am too broken to be but not human enough to be anything else? Then you'll be something new, something in between. That's okay too. Looked at him, this human who had broken her world with a ration pack, who had made her feel when she should not feel, who had given her a choice when she should have had none. Thank you, she said. The words felt strange in her mouth, but good, right? You don't have to thank me. I know, but I want to, she paused. I am learning. That is what humans do. They do things because they want to, not because they must. Smiled, that warm smile that had started all of this. You're going to be okay. How do you know? Because you're already asking the right questions, and that's where everything begins. Outside, the transport left Meridian 7. It carried no passengers. Inside, a former security officer took her first steps into an uncertain future. And somewhere in the galaxy, others watched and wondered. And 3 of them began to hope. 6 months later, the colony world of New looked like something from a painting. Green hills rolled under a blue sky. 2 suns hung on the horizon, painting everything in gold and orange. It was nothing like the cold metal corridors of Meridian 7, nothing like the ice world where we're born. Stood on a hillside and felt warmth on her scales. Real sunlight, not artificial, not filtered through station windows. Real. It still felt wrong sometimes, but less wrong than before. There you are, climbed up the hill carrying 2 drinks. Da said you missed your session this morning. Took the offered drink, some kind of fruit juice. Humans were obsessed with flavors. I did not miss it, I chose not to attend. That's called missing it. I prefer my definition. Sat down next to her, not too close. He had learned to give her space. Want to talk about it. The session was about family bonding. I have no family. Therefore, the session was irrelevant. You could have just said that to Da. I did not wish to be rude. So you just didn't show up instead. Was quiet. Then she said, human social rules are confusing. Yeah, they really are, smiled. But you're getting better at them. It was true. 6 months ago could barely function around humans. Everything they did seemed chaotic, random, wrong. But the cultural integration specialist had been patient. She taught slowly how to read facial expressions, how to understand tone of voice, how to know when someone was joking. It was exhausting, but it was also fascinating. How are the research sessions going? Asked. Better had been working with human scientists. They were studying her biology, trying to understand how emotions worked in. Dr. Park found something interesting. What? I am not defective. The capacity for emotion was always in genetics. My species did not eliminate it, they suppressed it. There is a difference. Leaned forward, really. Approximately 1 in every 5,000 has the genetic markers for emotional capacity. The collective identifies them young and conditions them, but the potential is always there. So there are others like you. Potentially thousands, hidden, conditioned, made cold when they should have been allowed to feel. She looked at her hands, these hands that had held weapons, that had enforced laws without mercy, that had been tools of the collective. Now they trembled with anger at what had been done to her, to others like her. That is emotion, yes, she asked. This anger I feel. Yeah, that's anger. It is uncomfortable. Most emotions are, at first. Do they become more comfortable? Thought about it? Not really, but you get better at handling them, and some emotions are worth the discomfort. Such as joy, love, hope. Those ones make everything else worthwhile. Tested the words, joy, love, hope. She was learning them slowly, like learning a new language. Her communicator beeped. She checked it and went very still. What is it? Asked. 3 more have requested asylum. They are security officers from different stations. They heard about what I did. They want to follow. That's good, right? I do not know. The collective will be angry. They are losing members, losing control. Good, they should lose control. What they're doing is wrong. Looked at him. You say that with such certainty, as if morality is absolute. Some things are absolutely wrong. Taking away someone's ability to feel, that's one of them. She wanted to argue. Her training said that right and wrong were cultural concepts, that the collective's way was valid for their species. But she looked at the 2 suns setting, felt the warmth on her scales, remembered crying for the first time, remembered choosing to help even when it made no logical sense. Perhaps you are correct, she said softly. His communicator beeped next. He checked it and frowned. The 3 asylum seekers are arriving tomorrow. One wants to know if you'll meet with them. Why would they want to meet me? Because you're the first. You're proof it's possible to leave, to change, to be more than what you were made to be. Felt something in her chest, a tightness. They had taught her to recognize it, anxiety, fear, but also something else, something warmer. Pride. I will meet them, she decided. The next day stood in the arrival area, stood beside her. Wu was there too, along with Dan 1, a support group, another human concept. You did not face hard things alone. The 3 who walked off the transport ship looked exactly like had looked 6 months ago. Cold, perfect, empty. But their eyes gave them away. There was fear there, hidden deep but present. The tallest one stepped forward. You are. I am. I am N. This is L and H. We have come seeking asylum. We have come because of you. Because of me. News of your defection spread through the collective. They tried to suppress it, but information travels. We heard. We understood. We are like you. We feel things we should not feel. We want things we should not want. Elle spoke next. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Is it true? Can we be free here? Looked at, he nodded encouragement. Yes, said. You can be free here, but it is not easy. You will lose your people, your culture, everything you knew. You will have to learn to be something new. Is it worth it? H asked. Thought about the past 6 months, the confusion, the pain, the constant struggle to understand beings so different from herself, the loneliness of being cut off from everything familiar. But she also thought about watching sunsets, about learning to smile, about the warmth of friendship, about crying and laughing and feeling alive in ways she never knew existed. Yes, she said, it is worth it. Des stepped forward. Welcome to New will help you through this transition. You're not alone. Over the following weeks, helped the 3 new arrivals adjust. She taught them what they had taught her, how to understand human expressions, how to navigate social situations, how to handle the overwhelming flood of emotions. It was strange being the teacher, being the one who knew things. It was also wonderful. One evening she sat with on their usual hillside. The 2 suns were setting again. She never got tired of watching them. Thank you, she said. For what? For the ration pack. Laughed, you're still thinking about that. That is where it all started. One small act of kindness, and it changed everything. I didn't know it would change anything. I just didn't want you to be hungry. Exactly, turned to look at him. You did not have a grand plan. You did not calculate outcomes. You simply saw someone who needed help and you helped. That is the most human thing, and the most powerful. She reached out slowly, took his hand in hers, her scales against his skin, cold against warm. My kind doesn't do love, she said, the same words from 6 months ago, but now they meant something different. That is what I told you. That is what I believed. And now I think my kind was wrong. We gave up something essential. We made ourselves empty in the pursuit of perfection, but perfection is not the same as completeness. She squeezed his hand gently. I am learning what love means. It is still difficult, still confusing, but I think I am beginning to understand it. Smiled, that warm, genuine smile that had started everything. You don't have to understand it perfectly. You just have to feel it. I am trying. I know, and you're doing great. In the distance, another transport ship appeared in the sky. More asylum seekers. Word was spreading across the collective. The ice was cracking. More were learning that another way existed. It would take time, maybe generations, but change was happening. All because a human offered food to someone who was hungry. All because someone chose kindness over logic. All because love, it turned out, was stronger than 10,000 years of conditioning. Leaned against his shoulder, the gesture still felt awkward, foreign, but it also felt right. Thank you, she said again, for showing me what I could be. You showed yourself. I just gave you permission to look. They sat together as the sun set. A human and a 2 beings who should never have been friends, who should never have connected. But humanity had a way of breaking rules, of finding connections where none should exist, of making the impossible happen through simple, stubborn kindness. And in that moment, on a hillside on New, under 2 setting suns, understood what her species had lost. And she knew she would never go back. She was cold-blooded, she was a predator. But she was also something new, something her people had forgotten could exist. She was free. And that made all the difference. Years later, when historians wrote about the awakening, they would point to many factors: political pressure, scientific discoveries, cultural evolution. But those who were there knew the truth. It started with a ration pack. It started with one human who refused to walk past someone in need. It started with asking a simple question: when did you last eat? And sometimes, that's all it takes to change a species. One question, one act of kindness, one moment of simple human decency. Because that's what humans do. They care, they help, they persist. They love. Even when it makes no sense. Even when it seems impossible. Even when the entire galaxy says it can't be done. especially then. And in the end, love always wins. Because love is what makes us human. And apparently, it's what makes us alive. No matter what species we are.